All right, well, good morning. Another beautiful morning here in the shop. Beautiful day. Today, well, first thing this morning anyway, I'm gonna be working on these Nerf tubes, or Nerf rails. I decided to take a little break from drivetrain mounting and work on these. I still have some more welding to do on these brace tubes for the main engine motor mount, but I decided to be smart about it and just weld it in a little bit at a time because I don't want anything to pull. Had a bunch of trouble with that last week, so anyway, I went ahead and I've got these tubes pretty well prepared. I was in here in the shop, today's Saturday, I was in the shop on Thursday. My boss let me have some time off so I could come in here and work on this thing. And unfortunately, I didn't get any of that on film. In fact, I didn't even have a radio on. I was just in here focusing, just quiet, trying to get familiar with the new to me bender that I have. And the new to me, well, I've had it for a while, just haven't had a chance to use it, the Tack Dragon machine, to get these Nerf tubes fabricated and squared away. So this is what it's going to end up looking like. I've got these standoffs or brace tubes or lateral tubes, or whatever you want to call them, in here. This one's already tacked up and in place, and if you look at it from the back, I have it sort of kicked up a little bit, so it's not completely flat like the ones on my other buggy. I wanted to make them sort of compact and tight to the rail, not stick out too far, and I wanted to kick them up a little bit. So that's what they're gonna end up looking like. This one, like I said, is just tacked in. And I'm considering maybe putting some plate gussets in here as well, just the 1/8 inch plate. I don't know if I'm gonna do that yet or not, but just an idea. It adds more weight, but it's gonna also make these quite a bit more rigid. One thing I do want to do is I want to reinforce the leading edge of this tube or this bend here. One thing I do want to do is reinforce the leading edge of this tube, because especially here on the passenger side, I really, especially here on the passenger side, I really abuse the heck out of it because it's the furthest from me and I can't see it. I've dented the crap out of the other tubes on my other buggy, so I'm gonna probably reinforce it by doubling that tube up with some 3/16, or I've got ideas. But anyway, so that's what we're gonna do this morning first thing. And then after I get that done, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. I might do something a little different. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, let's go. Well, I got these Nerf tubes about quarter welded in. They're tacked and somewhat welded. I've been jumping around from side to side, and I've got the top half about half welded, and I'm gonna just let them cool off for a while. I don't want to put too much heat into them. I've got, you know, like still the other half of the top of these tubes to do, and these little brace tubes. But I think what I'm gonna do is jump to the front end now, hone out these bump stop cans and see if I can get my bump stops mounted, put my shocks in, and put that third member back in the front end and start messing with getting this carrier bearing fully mounted. I think that's what I'll do next. So here we go. All right, so success. So what I learned is on the bottom of these King bump stop cans, you buy these from King's with the bump stop. Right here, about the first ½ inch on the bottom here, they machine a step in here that's actually, it makes it the inside diameter smaller by, I don't know, if I were to guess, about 20 thousandths all the way around. And since I welded below here, and I was having all kinds of trouble with my welder and porosity and stuff, I think because of that anti-spatter spray, I put a bunch of heat into here because I was grinding the weld out and re-welding it. Anyway, so these shrunk up and I had to hone them out. This one wasn't nearly as bad as this one, and I just used a flapper disc on a round flapper disc on a, here, I'll show you. Just these. Just use these, like a round flapper disc on a angled die grinder, and I was able to get them kind of honed out to where I could get that bump stop in there. So that's a success. So now I'm gonna put the third member back in and start messing with the drive shaft. Well, it's been pretty time consuming, but I got this front drive shaft and the mid shaft in. I tacked in the carrier bearing. I've got it, looks like I have it pointed this way just a tad bit, which is clearing everything, so that's good. I'm thinking where it's at is gonna work. I've just got it tacked in. I didn't do any of this final yet because I wanted to make sure the drivetrain was fully welded in, and all the mounts for the drivetrain are fully welded in. My little gussets I made right here, both on this side and on the bottom side, are clearing the drive shaft at full bump, so that's good. So the next thing I'm going to do is just put the front shocks back in and triple check that again. But yeah, making progress. I have a little bit more to weld up on this engine mount tubes, but everything's overhead, so I might wait till I have a better, more comfortable welding position before I weld that in. And so far everything's going well. It's just taking a lot of time. So now I'm going to put those shocks in and we'll go from there. Looking at the rear shocks here, and they have this rubber bumper in them. They came like this. The front shocks I bought completely stock from the factory, and they don't have this rubber bumper in them. So what I did was I sort of set up bump to where I can still spin these shock retainers, or these bottom cups, so they can still be spun to give me a little bit of, I don't know, just a little bit of leeway, a little bit of insurance, I guess you could call it, because I don't have that rubber bumper. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another pad right here, probably 1/4 inch, to reinforce the top of this. This is all gusseted underneath here, but it's going to take some pretty hard hits if I jump it, so I want to make sure that the truss is reinforced underneath here, or underneath the bump stop. So I'll put 1/4 inch pads. So that's going to also that'll bring the axle down a little bit more. But everything else is looking great. The drive shaft is spinning free at full bump. There's no trouble there. Now I'm going to droop it out and just make sure it's good to go. And then I'll probably go back to welding my Nerf tubes, get everything welded I can on the top here, and probably call it a day. What I need to do next is get that rear axle on the table and put a fixture bar in it and jig it up and start welding in the unit bearing cups and fully welding in the link tabs and the upper link tabs, and start looking at the truss. There's some other things I want to do, but I want to get that underneath there. So yep, no shortage of things to do, but we're making progress nonetheless. Okay, so check the driveline angle out at full droop, and I had a little bit of binding, so I just made a minor adjustment and rolled the pinion up just very slightly, like 0.3 degree upward. And this is absolute worst case scenario. In fact, so the axle is hanging by the shocks right now, and it's never going to get to this point because I'm going to have it strapped 1 inch shy of this. So yeah, I think we're golden. I think we're good to go. So all my checking things out and hard work paid off. So I'm really happy with that. So I'm gonna go and weld out these rails or these Nerf bars and call it a day.